The mission statement of a nonprofit locally is providing quality developmental programs to Polk County youth, especially those from disadvantaged circumstances, encourages and empowers them to become productive adults. Coming up, we'll meet with the new president and CEO of the recently merged Boys and Girls Club, Stephen Giordano, on Polk Place. Make sure you stick around. Welcome to Polk Place. I'm your host, Brian Lacey, and joining me in studio, what we like to call a rookie here on PGTV's Polk Place, Steve Giordano. He is the brand new president and CEO of the Boys and Girls Club. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Brian. I'm a rookie, not just to this program, but to the Boys and Girls Club as well.
Yeah.
I've just completed my 75th day, so
yeah.
I'm a wily veteran.
Yeah, grizzled, you know.
Yes,
grizzled and chiseled, you
yes,
know.
I'm ready.
Swinging for the
I'm
fences.
almost dangerous.
We have a mutual friend, and he sent me a text, and he told me to be gentle on you.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh, good, because he said there's no chance that you'll be gentle on me.
Yeah.
So.
Of course, speaking of Todd Dantzler, and Todd's friends with some members on
our
your
board, and he's been a big supporter of the Boys and Girls Club, and we love him, and I call him for advice.
Yeah. So let's talk about you prior to getting the gig and what it took to get the gig.
Yeah, so I don't have any nonprofit experience to speak of, and you know, I usually go to companies who are merging or are trying to accomplish something, and in the retail world, I've done that for the last 35 years, and yeah, it's been in places like Richmond, Virginia, and Chicago, Illinois, and LA, and Atlanta, and my wife and I have lived here for over 20 years, and she said, you know, you can do this job in Florida, right? And I said, well, you know, as soon as we get our first grandbaby, you know, it's going to happen. And we did. Benny was born last year, and I said, okay, it's going to happen. No sooner did I make that decision than a search firm reached out to me and said, hey, listen, we don't know if you'll make the cut. There's an awful lot of people being considered for this, and your background isn't exactly nonprofit, but you've been a CEO several times. You've handled mergers in various companies. You've turned around situations that were challenged. Let's put you through and see what happens. And I've been blessed to be selected from a big list, and I'm delighted to be here.
Let's talk about the word that you mentioned, challenge. You spoke about mergers within the corporate world, but you're talking about a merger within our future here within Polk County, the children. Talk to me a little bit about the importance of the work that you're going to be doing.
Thank you. Sure, I will. You know, let's size the problem. If there's 686,000 people in Polk County, we're not rated very high in education, which means socioeconomically we're not rated very high, and so there tends to be a lot of at-risk families, and these are our customers, okay? Many of them, by the way, working full-time, and so we have these folks who are working full-time, doing their best, a lot from single-family homes, and they need after-school care, and they need somebody to help their kids do some homework. Now we serve, when you put the clubs together, all 7 of them, we serve 1,900 kids, and we're proud of it, and we do a great job with that independently in all of our clubs. But when you try and size the number and say, well, really, how many at-risk kids are there in Polk County? And the number is staggering, or at least to me it's staggering. It's 55,000, some estimates have put it. Now with 55,000 at-risk kids, our 1,900 is a drop in the bucket. And so, you know, we and the board and my operating staff said, listen, what would be meaningful? What would be a critical mass number where we could really feel like we were making a difference in Polk County? And we think that number is 10,000 kids. We get to 10,000 kids. We get them in and off the streets during the time that crime is most likely to be committed, that after-school window. We not only have them play in outside sports and in some of our clubs and ultimately in all of our clubs eating healthy meals, but we do something that they're not even going to be doing at home, which is socially interacting with people, learning the social contract with folks, because many of our kids who we talk to say their favorite part is getting to know new people and meeting their friends here and having great conversations.
There are a lot of success stories that come out of the Boys and Girls Club locally, whether it be the NBA, Major League Baseball, the WNBA, NFL. There are a lot of success stories, but really the success story that you're looking for are getting these kids into a safe environment and helping them learn and adapt in these environments. Talk about the work that the staff does to provide this chance for them.
Yeah, I'd love to, because rarely do you find, when you first start visiting with the staff and the club and getting to know, your new staff, rarely do you find this level of commitment. And you probably know this, but you can't fake care for kids. As I met with the club directors, and of course Rex and Curtis, who folks who have been with the Boys and Girls Club know these guys. They've given their life to the Boys and Girls Club. They've been here for decades, and they'll continue to be here. When you meet with them, the very first thing they talk about is the safety of the children. All of them live the mission. Curtis is out taking a bunch of kids to camp. A couple of hundred kids are out in camp right now, and so number one, they have the right ideal, which is we care about kids. We're here to protect kids. And when it's beyond just warehousing kids, I think we have a reputation, for folks who don't know us, as, oh well, you take in a bunch of kids and you throw up a basketball or you play kickball. And it's so much more than that, as I alluded to. But I do have an ambition bigger than what you stated earlier, and that is, I think it's an increasingly complex world. I think not only are we all fighting for jobs, but the jobs that are going to be available are not what they're learning in school. Okay, so the sciences and the maths are not being put out there in enough content that is going to prepare these kids. So we're moving in a direction that says, sure, we're going to do the kickball and the basketball, and certainly we're going to have our power hour, which is when we do our homework, and we give points for that. But we're also going to have some vocational training. We'll have in some clubs an HVAC engineer come in and teach the kids about that and see, is that something they're interested in? We're going to have a STEM program. I mean, it's okay to have kickball, but why not build a robot? Because now, if they take to one of these, now I've done more than just make sure they got through high school and make sure they got a better chance. Because I really think, as I understand it, and again, my tenure but I'm a pretty good student of human nature and what we're doing. I think we are the equilibrators. You know what I mean? It's not a balanced scale in terms of the future. And so, if my kids, for example, are going to be okay, or our donors or our board's kids are going to be okay, mine are all through college at this point, they're going to be fine. These kids they didn't start from the same place. So if I can equilibrate it, give them a better starting block and get them to where they have a fighting chance, now all of a sudden, now the community is getting better. Now that we're not only encroaching upon that 55,000 at risk, but we're improving the overall schools and our test scores, and these people are going to hopefully come back and we'll expand to more clubs with some of them, which our alumni tend to do.
Steve, I want you to talk about, you talked about making that equal.
Trying to get it more equal.
Trying to get it there. You mentioned staff and the people that have been there in the trenches. And of course you coming in and adding your background to it. But in order for you and your staff to do what you do, it takes the caring, kindness and the dedication of the board that you have. Talk to me a little bit about what you have behind you.
Yeah, so it's a great question. We had two separate boards before we met. Lakeland Mulberry and Citrus Center, which encompasses Lake Wales and Haines City and Winter Haven, and we had to whittle that board down to 24 or so of the best. Now, please understand, both of these independent organizations had ridiculously committed board members who in many cases were doing a lot of the work that, let's face it, there wasn't a me over all of it. So a lot of these business people who all have busy lives, who are all running businesses on their own, had to do so much. in addition to their investments in the kids, which they all do. Okay, to serve on our board means you're not only going to invest in our kids and be at all the board meetings, but you're going to set up other opportunities for others to invest in it. And yeah, people like Kerry Wilson and Chris Asbell, who are co-chairs right now as we work through this transition, and Gab Kovac and Mitch Weinstein and Mike Arnold and Wogie Badcock and Lee Saunders, and I could name them all, but and it would take up too much time because there's not a single one of them who isn't touched by kids. And as I said before, you can't fake that. They all go to the clubs. They'll all say, maybe what can we get? What do you guys need? Do you need a new pool table? What do we need here? How about a door? How about, and they know the names of the kids. So this isn't a board that I'm used to dealing with where they say, hey, you know, head guy in charge, go run the organization and let's form strategy. And these people are involved and committed, you know, at the heart level. And it's just inspiring to be around them.
Coming from into the nonprofit side of this and your background, we all know that fundraising is the life's blood of any nonprofit. Citrus Center Boys and Girls Club had one, or has one of the premier fundraising opportunities in probably the state of Florida in Smoke on the Water. Kevin Ward, Hank Longo, Jane Waters, they all do incredible work to put on that event. And one of the challenges you're going to be faced with is raising. Talk to me a little bit about what your vision is for fundraising for the group.
Yeah, so I want to be careful to say that our decisions are made in concert with the board. I suggest strategy, but we all sit down and we all agree to it because we want to make sure that the collective experience of all these people is registered. But there are several revenue streams, and again, in the nonprofit world, in the profit world, we don't call it fundraising, we call it selling.
Yeah.
And you know, essentially, I'm out there selling commodities to folks who need them or want them. Here, I am selling the future. We're dealers in hope. I love this product. So let's start with the premise that I am selling the future of these individuals who are most at need. Now, most at risk and need. So there are events, which is a big part of it. There's individual donations, there's grants, and so all of those things factor into the budget, which we have. Our strategy so far, and it hasn't been voted on and decided, is, hey, let's not have 17 events so that we're knocking on the same door 17 times. Let's take events like Smoke on the Water, which I'm glad you mentioned Kevin's name, because my goodness, you know, he and Rick from Rick's Barbecue in Winter Haven, and
there are so many names that make that,
do a phenomenal job. But let's take Smoke and make it bigger, make it countywide, because Smoke is a big deal. We can't fit all the people that want to come to Smoke. But that's one of, maybe we have 7, 8 events well marketed, because what people tend to do when they see the success of an event is say, gosh, that's easy, let's just have lots of events. Well, that, you know, then you dilute.
Sooner or later, the well runs dry.
Sure, but if you really make the event fun, you know, people come to Smoke, for example, not just to be charitable, but also because it's fun. You get all these, you know, the best in the world barbecue.
And let's face it, the food is good.
The food is phenomenal. So, yeah, why wouldn't you? But those kind of things, and Bartender Bash. We just had Mitch Weinstein and Mike Arnold just put on Light the Way in Lakeland. Bobby Bowden was our keynote speaker. And what a spectacular job they did, and Summit and Essentra, the companies that get behind that and sponsor it. And it was a fun event. So if you can have fun and serve some kids, boy, it's just the best possible place to be. So I'm delighted to be doing it.
Well, we're just about out of time. I'm going to give you the final word on this, and then I'm also going to invite you back. I like to have, you know, maybe
see if we
a few months down.
anything.
A few months down the road, give you like a State of the Union. You know, I mean,
Sure.
You hit the ground running, but let the folks know, you know, what's in store for them.
So I think I have to be mindful of something I frankly don't know very well, excuse me, and that is the East-West divide. Because depending on the demography, that's important less important or not important at all. And so and you'd say, well, why does that matter? I think it matters very much. I have to know and respect my constituency. And my constituency is all of Polk County. So if you are in East Polk and you say, well, I always like to give to the Boys and Girls Club, but I want to make sure it gets to, Lake Wales or Winter Haven. Well, then I want to accommodate you. I don't want to just say, oh, well, look at this bureaucracy we have now.
Yeah.
Because, and same thing with Mulberry. If, we're going to build a new club there, we're looking at expanding into places like Bartow where there's just so much need. And so we're going to be expanding in different places. But in doing so, we want to take advantage of those who the East-West divide means less to, but also be mindful of those where this is very important to them and make sure that their dollars not only go to the geography that's important to them, but some need specific programs, and we want to accommodate all of those, so I'm sensitive to that. And finally, I am so sensitive to this that I actually have 2 offices. I have one office in Winter Haven, and I'm there on Mondays, and I have one office in Mulberry. And I'm there on Fridays. So I'm representing both. I want to make sure these are my children. I want to love them like I love my own children, none more than the other.
Well, Steve, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you coming back in. That seat's always open to you, whether we can promote anything going on, fundraiser, or if you'd just like to come in and talk a little bit more about what you got going on.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for all that you've done for Polk County in general and our institution in particular.
Today's youth are growing up in a world much different from that of previous generations. The structure and patterns of family life have changed dramatically, and most young people face dangerous influences like gangs, drugs, alcohol, violence in their schools and neighborhoods. All young people have the potential to a caring environment where they are physically and emotionally safe. The Boys and Girls Club offers daily access to a broad range of programs that promote education, health, social character, services, and leadership to the youth of Polk County. Now, if you need more information how you can help make a difference, look them up on the web at www.bgcpolk.org.